Everyone, Joe Brady coming to you from Monument Valley. What a beautiful morning. And would you believe it is January 15th? I'm wearing a sweatshirt. This is a phenomenal time of year to come out here. There's no crowds at all. There's very few people in the park, but the weather is just stunning. It's comfortable, and look at behind me. It just says it all. So we've got another image to edit. Let's get started. Well, here we are in Monument Valley, driving around the Loop Road. If you've ever been there, this is the back of the Loop Road, heading back towards John Ford Point. And I came across this interesting scene, great light, great shadows, and this really interesting tree. And what are the problems? Well, what is it I'm asking you to look at? This formation is really interesting, as is the tree, as is this fallen branch here. But your eye goes to this big bright thing, which is a problem. So let's start a kind of a generic edit first, and then we'll move into the details. So let's go up to basics. Shadows are a little too dark. Let's bring those up. We'll bring the highlights down. I'm going to bring the overall exposure up a bit. And we'll add some texture and clarity. We need to boost the vibrance, bring up that sky, and then boost the saturation to bring up the foreground. And that's looking a heck of a lot better already. However, there are still some problems. For one, you see this orange-red dirt and rock all over the place. And since that color is very close to the color that's opposite of green, it does have a tendency to eliminate greens. And this tree had some green in it. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to get a brush up in the new brush panel. And again, you can avoid the panel if you remember the shortcuts. They're the same as they've always been. Brush is K, so I could just hit the K key. But I'm going to do that, and I've got Auto Mask turned on because I wanted to just select the tree. Or even more particular, I wanted to pick up the pine needles or whatever they are of the tree. There we go. And there is a little bit of yellow in there too. We'll leave that alone. So we got that selected. Let's make it actually green. Let's put the green back. That's been canceled out by this red dirt. So I'm going to add some green. I'm going to add a little blue into it as well. And I'm actually going to darken it a little bit. It'll make it a little darker, but then we're going to bring the saturation way up to really just bring the green back. And yes, there was green in this thing. All right, so now we see the tree much better. What else? Well, this thing is a problem. So I'm just going to hit the K key again, which will create another brush mask. I've got Auto Mask on. As I mentioned, this white face of this rock formation here is just way too bright. And I had Auto Mask on so it would focus on the white part. Let's bring the exposure down on that so that it's not such an eye catcher. Yeah, that's looking better. Now, again, I'd like to focus on this formation in the tree. Let's select the formation as well. So I hit K again, which starts a new brush mask. Again, I still have Auto Mask on, and I'm going to select this formation here. Make sure I get all of it. And it's okay if we come out of it a little bit as well. In fact, I could even come over in here a little. And what I'm going to do in this case is I'm actually going to add some yellow, which is going to bring some more saturation and warmth into that formation, which will draw you even more. That's looking pretty good. Now, we still have a problem with this whole area over here being brighter, mostly because the sun's coming this way. It's coming from left to right, and it's hitting this big face. So let's hit K again for another brush mask. This time we're going to turn off Auto Mask. And what we're going to do is we're going to follow this bright piece down. I'm just painting over here, and you can see there's a little ravine right here. So we're going to follow that. And we've got a feather so that anything we change, any changes we make will be gradual. I think something like that. Now let's bring down the exposure of what we just selected so that it takes away the reason for your eye to go there. And that's looking a heck of a lot better. In fact, I think I might want to crop it. Let's hit R to bring up the crop tool. Don't need quite so much sky because we want to focus on the formations. Probably don't need quite as much as this big formation on the right. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'll put a crosshair for our golden ratio grid here, and we've got another one almost on the tree. And so this one is slightly off to the right, this one's slightly off to the left. In fact, we could even come in a little more like that. And then let's hit done. And let's finish that off with a vignette. Oh, but we're not quite finished. We've darkened the corners with a vignette. Now let's do one more thing to help your eyes go to the tree. Another mask. This time we're going to choose new mask, and we're going to use a linear or radial gradient. So I'm going to draw a big oval about this big. I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to rotate it by bringing the cursor off to one side, which will allow me to rotate this. So what I want to do is put a little bit of extra light onto both the tree and the formation. But I want to do it in the midtones. I don't want to affect the shadows of the highlights. So let's just bring the exposure up so that, yeah, that adds a little more pop to it. But some of the highlights are getting too light. Let's bring the highlights back down, and even the whites. That'll take a little bit of the heat off of that while allowing our midtones to come up. I'm also going to bring the shadows back down. I like those deeper shadows. They create a lot of contrast there. And I think that's looking pretty good. I think we can hit done. Now, I could crop in some more. I could crop up from the bottom, but I really like these shadows because they kind of add a little bit of a stronger base to the image. Just as a test, let's hit Command apostrophe and create a virtual copy of this. In fact, I'm going to create two of them. I'm going to hit it again so that we get an extra down there. All right, so let's take our first one, and I'm going to bring up the R key, again, which is crop. And let's see what this looks like as a vertical. What happens if we do, say something like this, and then bring this in from the left? And that's looking very close to an 8x10. We can even see, all right, let's show me what an 8x10 is. Even an 8x10 is thinner than that. I kind of like it. I'm not usually a fan of 8x10s, but I think this one actually works as an 8x10. And again, the beauty of doing that post-crop vignette under effects is the vignette now follows it. Very cool. So let's go full screen. Here's the raw file we started with. Potential of an interesting composition, but obviously there's problems with the light and the color. So we did our edits, and with our edit and our crop, we ended up here. And then we decided to take a look, what would this look like as a vertical? So we cropped it to an 8x10 vertical, which I don't know that I like it better, but it is certainly another option for presenting the scene. Now, while I was here, I had another idea, and we'll do that in our next video. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you saw some techniques that you can put to use on your photographs right away. Thanks for watching. I'll see you online again soon.